What's the guarantee? Eric?
Mike, time to make history. Players in Circillion make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circus Survivor entries choose one team each week with no point spread. The last one standing wins it all.
We have $21 million on the line. Are you in? Visit circusports.com for details.
What is up? Welcome into the Channel Seed Studios for Bigger Than 12. We are within striking distance of football season. We are so close. I don't know about you. Probably not down there in Texas, but you could just taste football in the air up here in Iowa the last few days. I've had highs in the upper 70s, low 80s. The lows have hit upper 50s a couple nights.
No, we have not had that. August is here in Texas, but I'm sweating my ass off. My grass is dying, but at least football is coming back this month. This is what we've been waiting for all summer long, and now we're officially, just a couple weeks away from kickoff in Ireland, so we're getting there.
The grass at Jack Trice Stadium is not dead. It is alive and well. I've been up there a few times over the past couple weeks. Looking as good as ever. They've had a lot of rain to work with, so the number one ranked Iowa State turf management program is doing a good job. Football will be here before we know it. Actually, it is here.
It's close.
Like it I'm consumed by it every day. That's kind of the point we're at.
Couple weeks. There you go.
Yeah. Look at that turf behind me. Oh,
were you there today?
Oh yeah.
You were there today? Oh wow. I can tell you for sure that my yard does not look like that.
Yeah, in your dreams.
I think
your yard probably doesn't even look as good as the bleachers.
No, my yard would be like playing a football game in El Paso, probably.
The steel bleachers are probably softer than the grass in your front yard.
Not much grass. It's more dirt than anything.
I'm just so ready for football.
We're close. You can see it. You can't.
We'll get into the state fair in a little bit. That's going to be our draft today, State Fair Foods. I like the fair. I'm not the biggest fair guy in the world. And I think a lot of that comes from it's already the end of summer. Like, just skip it. Just get me to football. And that's nothing against the State Fair. I think I would soak it in more if it was in like mid-June. But when August hits on the calendar, and August 8th in general, which is usually the range when the fair starts, it's like just fast forward. Let's have school start, and let's get into some football.
We got to have the state fair first, and then you get into football.
Well, you're not even going to be here.
No, I'm not.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Isn't the Texas State Fair in like November?
October.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you could have it in August or the summer, but then you'd want to die.
Yeah, well,
even then, it's still hot. Like, it's always like the first weekend of October, and it's still hot as shit outside. I've been to it only once, and I don't want to go back. It was just, you were sweaty all day long.
More power to you. It's going to be beautiful up here in Iowa come October. Before we get started today, we've got a good show because it is our 50th Bigger Than 12. Does that even feel right?
No, it does not. I can't even believe that we're at 50. I mean, it's been quite a ride so far. Like, sometimes it still doesn't feel real that, I get to sit here and talk about Big 12 football, enter a microphone for this company. But I've had a blast so far, and I think we should probably thank Chris Williams for letting us do this show. And, of course, thank you, Jake and Aiden, for helping me to transition with this with ease, I guess you should say. But I don't know. It feels like yesterday we just started this show, and I think back, like, how did we do that? I mean, we only talked over the phone, I think, a couple times.
Yeah.
Prior to that first show, and I didn't know Aiden at all. I'd never met either one of you, in fact. So, but now we've met a couple times. Going to again real soon, and again, I can't believe that we're at episode 50, and I hope that we got many more in us. Of course, thank you to all the listeners. Without you, this show would not be nearly as fun, and I appreciate all the support we have gotten from everyone at Iowa Everywhere, and then, of course, the listeners as well. So it's been quite a ride so far, for sure.
I'm trying to remember which show that you discovered that you were spelling Aiden's name wrong.
Oh, it's probably last week.
Yeah, he texted me like a week ago, and he's like, "Oh, someone spelled your name wrong here." Wait, no, it's right.
It took me a minute to catch myself. I was like, "Oh shit, that's actually how you spell his name."
I think after a few weeks, I'm like, I should probably tell him that it's Aiden with an E, and it's
You didn't
not
tell me shit.
A-N.
Nobody told me anything.
I swear,
No.
because I
Nobody
remember
told me
you felt
jack
bad
shit.
about it. I'm like, hey man, it's Aiden with an
I've been
E.
called worse things than Aiden.
And you were like,
That's
I remember
fair.
you felt so bad about it too. I'm like, it's Aiden. He doesn't care.
Huh.
Aiden shows up, does his work at a very high level, and then as soon as we're done with the show, he just goes off and does something else. We'll hang out for an hour.
He's gone for a week. Yeah.
Well, you thanked the fans, the listeners, Chris. I'd like to thank WealthCharter for making it happen, because
Absolutely. That's
without
fair, too.
them, there is no bigger than 12. Tim Hawkins Retirement Planning and Tax. Without WealthCharter, you're not going to retire. Without WealthCharter, you're going to work until you're 95 years old.
I'll be dead. By then, I'll be dead. I hope I'm dead at 95.
Without WealthCharter, you would be dead. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but WealthCharter Retirement Planning and Tax, they are so important to your future, no matter what stage of life you are in. You could have just graduated college. That's the perfect time to set up a retirement account. You could be 40. It's never too late to start, but you should definitely give Tim Hawkins and his team a call. They can do all they can to set you up for success financially and simplify your wealth. And then tax season is unfortunately always around the corner, no matter what time of year it is. So get ahead of it with Tim Hawkins and WealthCharter Retirement Planning and Tax. They have been longtime supporters of Bigger Than 12. I say long time, like it's our 50th show, so we're coming up on about a year, but they have been with us almost the entire way. So thanks to WealthCharter for sponsoring us here at Iowa Everywhere. You have any favorite memories in the 50 shows? Favorite show come to mind?
Well, I mean, I'm sure I've said a lot of stupid shit over the past few months.
Really?
Probably the favorite memory was probably just doing the one we did in studio that time.
Dude, you
that
took
was,
mine. That's what I was going to say.
That was probably my favorite one. It was probably also the toughest one to do because we were just having to look at each other the whole time. Like actually in person. I'm just staring into your soul while I'm talking to you. And then also occasionally kind of like looking at the camera, and then Aiden's back there. So that was probably my favorite. But that was just like a fun bullshit episode we did.
Well,
like,
and you made me drink like 9 beers at Confluence.
I made you drink 2. 2. Yeah,
It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
This is coming from the guy who did tequila shots that night, so I don't want to hear it. I didn't
did
make
what?
any of those. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the in-person show was a blast. Your being a part of your tour across Iowa was fun. But yeah, we've just had, I don't know, I think it's sour now. Our relationship ended poorly, but being a front runner on the Cam Scattaboo train was a blast. And then it came to an end in the most painful way. Just ruined Iowa State's dream season.
Yeah.
It's been a good year, though. And the good news is I don't know if you could tell at home or not, but we had no clue what we were doing for the majority of those 50 weeks. And now I feel like we got a grip on what's ahead, and things are only going to get better here at Bigger Than 12. So we've got a really, really good year coming up of football, basketball, and our plan is for it to be 10 times better than our first year. So thanks for your support until now, and thank you in advance for your support and beyond. Let's get into some football. We got 2 more season outlooks to get to: Utah, West Virginia. I already mentioned it. We'll close with the State Fair Food Draft. Talk a little bit about Matt Campbell's contract extension becoming finalized, but I think it's probably appropriate to start with the news of the day, and that is the coaches poll coming out. 5 Big 12 teams represented in the poll. Arizona State comes in at 11th. I've seen a couple different graphics or sources. I don't know if Iowa State is tied for 21st with A&M, or if they're alone in 22nd, or if there's been a couple typos, but K-State's 20th, Iowa State is 22nd, BYU 23, and Tech is 24. Initial thoughts that jump off the page when you see that graphic?
I'd have to agree kind of where Arizona State is. I do have them as my front runner for the Big 12, so I don't mind them at 11, but you kind of have a pretty big gap from Arizona State to Kansas State there, going all the way from 20. Now, the good thing is you have, 4 schools in the top between 20 and 25 there with Kansas State, Iowa State, BYU, and Tech. I am a little surprised, though. I don't want everyone to take a Big 12 school out of that, but for BYU to be there still in the top 25, even after Jake Retzloff left, so that to me is pretty shocking. And not only that, to put 4 teams there ahead of Texas Tech, who many people consider now to be the favorite, or at least one of the favorites in the conference, for them to be behind 4 other schools is pretty eye-popping as well. But other than that, I don't really have a problem where Kansas State is. I don't have a problem where Iowa State is. I would probably maybe push Tech a little bit higher than that. I also probably, again, I wouldn't have BYU in that top 25 because, I mean, as of right now, I think we kind of both discussed this on our season outlooks a couple weeks ago on them. I don't think either one of us seeing them finishing in the top 8 of the conference.
I think Texas Tech is like 20 spots too high. Who is voting for them?
Here we go.
No, I'm kidding. I'm in agreement. I honestly think I'd bump K-State, Iowa State up 3 or 4 spots each. I'd have them in that 17 to 20 range, but we know what it is. We know how the Big 12 is perceived. I honestly was a little surprised to see ASU as high as they are. I'm glad they are. That's probably right about where I'd have them, but I would have expected them to be in the 15 to 16 range. BYU, I'm shocked they're ranked. This is one of those instances where it might end up looking bad for the Big 12 if they start the year ranked and perform the way that I think they will. I think they're probably a 6-6, 7-5 team, and that could hurt the perception of the Big 12. But then again, Texas Tech, they've got the talent to go, maybe not run the table, but go 11-1. So on the flip side, it could hurt the Big 12 for Tech to be starting at 24. If they started at 15, if they started higher than 15, and they do perform up to those expectations, then their path to become a top 4 or 5 team at that point becomes a lot shorter and a lot quicker. And when they're starting down at 24, it already is an uphill battle to climb. And that's what sucks about preseason polls. I get why we have them, but it just creates preconceived notions before the ball has even been snapped.
And I hate that. It never goes the Big 12's way, ever, with these preseason polls. It never does. It only favors the SEC and the Big 10. We see that every single year. They're the ones that get the benefit of the doubt. The Big 12, I mean, look at Arizona State last year. We talked about it during Big 12 Media Days. We're kind of glad that they got rid of that preseason bowl just because it really did hurt Arizona State last year when they were picked to finish last, and then they ended up winning the conference. So I think it definitely had an impact on the way people at least on a national level, outside of the conference, viewed the Big 12. So I'm kind of happy we did away with that. Unfortunately, we're going to have these kind of polls, the AP poll, coaches poll, all these crappy polls that, while they don't necessarily matter, because of course when we get to the playoff committee and their playoff rankings, that's the one that's going to matter. However, these polls are the ones that do influence their decisions in those meeting rooms.
Aiden, can you pull the coaches poll back up for a second? I just want to do this exercise. So Illinois is ranked 10 spots higher than Iowa State. I think if you put these teams on a neutral field, it's probably a 2.5 3-point spread either way. You could argue either way. And that's not what I'm arguing about. I think Illinois, they do have a lot coming back. I know a lot of people within the Big Ten, Scott Docterman being one of them, is really high on Illinois. But because of where they're starting, 12, compared to Iowa State at 22, I'm just going to take you through their first 3 games of the season. They start the year with Western Illinois, then they play Duke, and then Western Michigan. Let's say Illinois starts 3-0. And let's say Iowa State starts 3-0, which probably not likely, but certainly possible with 2 rivalry games that they won last year. If both teams go 3-0, Illinois jumps up, probably to 8, 9, depending on how many teams above them lose. If Iowa State goes 3-0, they'd have wins over 2 most likely top 25 teams and probably would barely be cracking the top 15.
Yeah.
And you look at the inverse of, oh yeah, Illinois beat Duke, and now all of a sudden they had a worse year last year than Iowa State, and they're already in the top 10. Iowa State goes and beats the Big 12 preseason favorite, and they beat their arch rival in state, and they're still struggling to crack the top 15. And that's just the problem with these polls, is they don't make sense once the ball is snapped, because you already have these votes in place when the game hasn't been played. Sorry, that was a long tangent to get on a soapbox, but it was just something that jumped out to me when I saw Illinois 10 spots above Iowa State.
I mean, look what Indiana did like a couple weeks ago. They took Virginia off their schedule, or off one of their future schedules, and replaced them with Kennesaw State. And they're going to play a group of 6 schools, or 2, and 1 FCS school in their non-conference for the next couple years, because they're not going to value the non-conference. They don't care, because as long as they play the Big Ten schedule, they don't need to. They don't feel like they should have to play anybody with the polls. So you're going to see. I'm telling you, you're going to see more and more of that from these teams from the Big Ten and the SEC.
All right, thanks, Aiden. Thanks for allowing me to get on my soapbox by showing me that graphic again. Speaking of Iowa State, Matt Campbell officially finalizes his contract that he agreed to back in December. So I think it was a maybe not misinformation, but misinterpreted by a lot of people, that Campbell didn't exactly sign a new contract extension last week. It was just a very, very, very drawn out, delayed finalization. 8 years, he'll be making $5 million annually. There are incentives that start at 7 wins, $250,000 if Iowa State hits 7 wins, and then it just snow piles on top of that. It would get up to as much as $1.5 million for a 12-win season. What I found interesting is it's only a $100,000 bonus to make the college football playoff, but when you look at the incentives, it is way more tied in to wins-based and less accolades-based. And I think that's probably right, especially when you look at how things are stacked up for the Big 12 to make the playoffs. You could win 11 games and get left out of the playoff, and it's probably more fair for Campbell to have the incentive. Like, you're going to make $1.25 million for winning 11 games. It's not completely tied to getting a college football playoff berth.
I mean, doesn't he get like a $250,000 bonus for winning 7?
Yeah, so it starts at
yeah.
It starts $250,000 at 7, and it goes up $250 every single win from there.
I think the good one here is, I mean, you win the Big 12, you get $500,000. I mean, that's pretty damn good. I think that's pretty reasonable. And of course, you know, if you do win the Big 12, you are going to get one of those playoff spots. So there's a chance for some good money there. You know, for me, it's good for Iowa State to get this done. He is the winningest head coach in school history. You do what you can to keep a guy like Matt Campbell for around as long as possible. Like, we know what he has done for the program there, and he's turned Iowa State into a consistent winner. So kudos for Jamie Pollard and then his staff getting this deal done and keeping Campbell around. Like, he is good for Iowa State, and he's good for the Big 12.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's not explicitly stated in the contract, but it's a report from ESPN that Campbell took a pay cut to go towards rev sharing, to go towards his assistant coaches. And his assistant coaches also will get bonuses depending on incentives as well. So Campbell is making a sacrifice to make his program better, which is a good thing. I think the flip side of that is his buyout is also extremely low. So if another college program it was enticing to him and he wanted to jump ship, he's only got to pay a $2 million buyout, or the school he's going to, I guess. In the NFL, there's no buyout. So that's the flip, where Campbell has a ton of power and he is making a sacrifice. And on the other side of that, he has earned the right to, I've got all the leverage. And I think that's fair. I could see why it's worrisome for some fans, but at this point, I think Campbell has proven that he has put in his time, and he has proven time and time and time again that he is pretty tied down to Iowa State. And who knows, maybe the perfect opportunity comes up one off season and he jumps ship. But I would implore Iowa State fans to not be caught up in that and worry about it.
Are you sure? Because every time a job opens up, he's always linked to it. There could be a high school football job in New Jersey, and Matt Campbell would be linked to that job.
Well, it's a good job. He should be.
I don't know. To me, it's ridiculous. It's like every single time a job opens up, Matt Campbell linked to this job every single year. We've done this for how many years now? It's been nonstop.
It's a bad thing if it doesn't happen, because
That's
if
true.
he's not linked to jobs, then that means it was a bad season. No one was saying, oh, is Campbell getting looked at for the Florida State job after the 2022 season? No. But when he turns it around in 23 and then last year in 24, and that's a good thing when everybody else wants your coach. And Iowa State fans are pretty seasoned to go through it now.
Yep. I'm telling you, one day there's going to be a statue outside of Jack Trice of Matt Campbell. It's going to happen.
You want to bet?
I'd put money on that.
Yeah, I would too. I was just more so making a transition to our Circa Sports Iowa, Circa Millions, Circa Survivor. Go and do it out in Vegas. Aiden, please place our bigger than 12 one once you go out there. It'll be a lot of fun. We'd also like to thank Carbless, a new sponsor of Iowa Everywhere. They're the presenting sponsor of Overthinking on Iowa Everywhere. Check that out Tuesdays. I enjoyed a couple Carblesses this weekend. I had a family reunion up in Fort Dodge. I'm trying to think. Probably Pedro Martinez. Great fastball. But what made him so great? A really good changeup. Even if you're a beer drinker, throwing in a nice carbless vodka cocktail every now and then can be a good changeup. And especially this time of year when it's hot out, I like to have them on the boat. I actually had one on the golf course on Saturday. The cranberry flavor is my favorite. They've got dozens of flavors, but the cranberry just tastes like a vodka cranberry, which I think is about as refreshing as they get. So go and get your carblesses at your local liquor store, gas station. I see them everywhere in Iowa. It is the only non-beer canned drink that I'll have. It's not even a question for me at this point. I'm a big fan of the carblesses. So go pick them up at your local place wherever you get your alcohol. let's get into our last two season outlooks. And we're going to start with everybody's favorite program in the country, the Utah Utes. Kyle Whittingham is back. He's been here a long time, year 2 in the Big 12, coming off of a disappointing year. They lose a little bit, but one guy is probably going to be addition by subtraction as Cam Rising graduates with
Finally.
2 separate PhDs. Spent 9 years at Utah, and that's not including the 3 years that he spent at Texas before that. I'm exaggerating, but maybe not. I didn't do the research on how long he was actually at Utah, but he was there a long time. They also lose running back Mekhi Bernard, 1,000-yard rusher in 2024, and their actual 7-year tight end, Brent Kythe, who dealt with injuries and injuries and injuries. He was a 500-yard receiver last year. They return backup quarterback Isaac Wilson, younger brother of Zach, and their entire offensive line, almost all of the 1 and 2 deep. But they have so much returning on the offensive line, including a couple of NFL first-day prospects. But now the fun part, the additions. They bring in Jason Beck, offensive coordinator at New Mexico, along with his quarterback, Devin Dampier, 2,700 yards through the air, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks last year, along with the more steady 1,100 yards on the ground and 19 touchdowns. They bring in Wayshawn Parker, Washington State's leading rusher, over 700 yards and 4 touchdowns, and also New Mexico's leading rusher. It'll be kind of a running back room by committee between Parker and Nakari Rogers. They also bring in 3 new wide receivers. Ryan Davis, New Mexico's leading receiver, 750 yards. Larry Simmons, 420 yards at Southern Miss. And Tobias Merriweather from Cal. So, a pretty brand new offense when it comes to the toys. The beef up front, though, is where the experience comes. Defense is a little more simple. They lost one key player at each position group. They lost a D lineman, a linebacker, a safety, a corner, and they're pretty much relying on all in-house guys to fill those holes. They brought in a couple transfers in the secondary, but for the most part, they're relying on what they have coming back and other talent they have within the program stepping up. They do bring back Lander Barton, probably their best defender from last year, leading tackler, 4 passes defended, 2 sacks at linebacker, and then they bring back a pretty high-level player at every other position on the defense. With Utah, this all starts on the offense. The defense, there's a couple question marks, but you just always assume they're going to be pretty solid. There's no doubt that Utah upgraded their skill positions in the quarterback spot, but my question is, how big did they upgrade, and is it going to be enough to carry them from 16th in the conference to where they expect to be towards the top?
Yeah, this offense, let me just say, this offense needed to regroup and needed a major reset after just a total disaster last season on this side of the ball. Like, of course, the Cam Rising injury kind of put a damper on the offense, but even with like a subpar backup with Isaac Wilson, the rest of the offense really wasn't that great, and there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Devin Dampier to come in and provide that spark that the Utes so desperately need. And look, his athleticism, like, it's off the charts. Like, he can make plays with his feet. However, I think when you look at his passing stats over the last few years, like, it's fair to question his passing ability. I mean, look, last season, New Mexico, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, completed under 58% of his passes. And that's coming at a school like New Mexico where the level of competition isn't exactly Big 12 caliber. So that is concerning to me. So I don't think he's necessarily a for sure bet to take this offense to the next level. I do like the pieces around him. You mentioned the offensive line, which Caleb Lemieux and Spencer Fano are probably 1-2 when it comes to the NFL draft for Big 12 offensive linemen. So that's going to be great for them to be able to lean on that. And once again, probably be able to lean on a running game. I do have some question marks at the receiver position, but this offense should be more passer friendly with the new scheme under Jason Beck, who also is from New Mexico. So I expect some things to change a little bit. The offense should open up more. But at the same time, again, I just don't know how far Devin's going to be able to take them with his arm.
So one thing that Kyle Whittingham talked about at Big 12 Media Days was that he is giving Jason Beck complete control to pretty much copy and paste what he did last year at New Mexico to take it to Utah. Similar almost to what we saw in this state with Kirk Ferentz and Tim Lester last year, where they weren't going to be able to change how they played overnight because of the personnel, but it was pretty clear that Ferentz handed the keys to Lester, and I think we'll probably see something similar with Whittingham, where it was pitiful. Their offense was so bad last year, one of the worst in the country. So why would you try and replicate any of that? And while I agree, I think people have maybe penciled in Dampier as like a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12 based off of stats last year. And I think that's premature due to some of the accuracy concerns and, yeah, just him proven as a passer. But what he does bring that they didn't have last year is not just a solid running threat, a consistent running threat. And it's a true weapon. It'll be really good for Utah to have, and a much better fallback option than whatever you had to deal with Cam Rising last year or Isaac Wilson. And I think Wilson will be better if for some reason he does need to come in relief. I think I think their floor got much higher with the additions that they made, even though I'm still not sold on them being a 10 or 11 win team.
Yeah, I'm not either. Not with this offense. I think there's going to be some growing pains in year one with this new system. So I don't think, again, I agree with you. I'm not going to put Dampier as a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12. This conference is really loaded with quarterbacks if you sit down and look at it, and I don't think Devin belongs in that top 5.
Is it fair when you look at the history of Utah, what they've been under Kyle Whittingham, especially the last decade or so, is it just fair to assume that they bounce back and that last year they had terrible luck, couldn't keep a quarterback healthy? Is it fair to assume that one of the top 15 programs of the last decade is just going to get back to that point? Because I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy for that to be the reasoning, but it also is a fair reason at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, their offense can't get much worse than what it did last year. So I don't think there's really nowhere to go but up when it comes to the offensive side of the football. So I think it's safe to say that there will be a bounce back. How big that bounce back is, I don't know. Like, are they going to miss out on a bowl game this year? Probably not, but they're going to win more games than last year. That's all you need to know about it.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the defense, the same can be said. They've always been good under Whittingham. And I'm just going to assume that even though they lost a couple of really good players, whether it was to the portal or to the NFL, I think it's just fair to trust that Whittingham and his group is going to have a top 5 defense in the conference, because that's what they've done for 2 decades. And I know that's lazy, but I just, that's kind of where I rest. Like I'm not going to question a Texas Tech offense. I'm not going to question a Utah defense until I'm given plenty of reasons to do so.
That's fair. They'll probably end up being, even with some key losses, they're still going to be a top 5 or 6 defense in the conference, without a doubt in my mind. They have depth, and they really have depth, especially up front on the defensive line. Their linebacker duo with Barton and Dumani are really good. Jonathan Hall was a great add that they were able to get in the portal. So I do think that the defensive, especially that front, going to be really, really good. So I do expect this defense maybe to not be as good as they were last year, but they should be right in that top 4 or 5 range for me in the conference.
Where's the line of success or disappointment? I think we probably have it different than what their fan base would.
Well, I mean, last year was just a complete disaster. Like, they came in with a lot of noise, and they ended up sitting at home during bowl season. So, but I think this is a crucial year for this program under Kyle Whittingham, and he made a lot of changes this offseason from NIL stuff. He's very open with the NIL stuff, from the staff he's got with him now. So with this current team, the offense, the defense, I would say around 8 wins would probably be pretty good for this team. Like, again, I still have question marks about what this offense is going to look like. I think the defense is going to take a small step back. So if they can get to 8-4, I would say that's progress, especially from a year ago. The floor to me for this team would probably be around 6-6. Like, making a bowl game would probably just be like, it's kind of a disappointing year. But if you can get to 8 wins, I would say that that's a good season in Salt Lake City.
What would you have said last year was their floor?
I mean, with the healthy Cam Rising, I probably would have said, I don't know, 9-3 probably would have been the floor of that team. But unfortunately, we didn't really get to see that. I mean, they started out pretty good even with Rising out, so it's hard to say. That injury, and I blamed Kyle Whittingham last year for not going out and getting a serviceable backup in the portal, just given Cam Rising's injury history. Like, you knew at some point it was probably going to happen. Maybe it was a game or two, but it ended up being almost the whole season, and it cost Utah their season.
Yeah, they've got a pretty favorable schedule, I think. They get Tech, K-State, Tech and K-State at home. They go to BYU, which is never an easy game. They also go to Baylor and to KU. So it's not the easiest schedule. It's probably pretty middle of the road. I would say they also go to UCLA to open the season, which an old Pac-12 foe, that's not an easy game, especially with what UCLA has coming in with Nico. Just Nico. That's all I'm going to say. I'm done trying to say his last name. I never shared my ceiling or floor. I was agreeing with you. I think I would put 9 wins as a success for them. That's just a fan base that has a inflated ego, and rightfully so. They've won a Rose Bowl. So I think they probably need to see 9 wins for it to be a success. And I agree. I have a hard time seeing them miss a bowl game again. Like, I think 7 wins to them is probably a disappointment. Anything less than that is a colossal failure. And I don't think we'll get that. I think we're probably right around 8-9 wins.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, it's not the easiest. I mean, all the non-conference games are winnable to me. Like, you look at UCLA, Cal Poly, obviously a win. You go to Wyoming, like, weird things we've seen before, they happen in Laramie. So,
oh yeah,
that's not exactly a cakewalk non-conference schedule. So there's a chance, a very small chance that they can go 1-2 before they have to play Texas Tech. I think 2-1 is more likely there, but if they can get to 3-0, that'd be great for Utah, at least getting to the bowl game.
They've got 3 games or 3 road games in a row.
Yep.
At probably 10 of the weirdest places in the country for college football.
That's fair.
Like, if you wanted me to put together a list of where does the weirdest stuff happen in college football, Laramie, Morgantown, and Provo might be the first 3 that come to mind. So there is definitely some potential for shenanigans to go on within the Utah program on the road.
Yeah, and then you're playing at Kansas too. I don't know what that's going to look like, so that's not exactly another kind of odd place for me, at least. At least the old stadium was. We'll see how the new one works out for them, but definitely interesting road schedule.
They had a stadium before?
Well, I don't think it had running water. Remember the porta potties below the bleachers?
I don't even know what you call their old
toilet
stadium. I don't. Well, that place wasn't a stadium. That was a. I don't even. It was like a practice field.
That's fair.
Glorified practice field. Let's move on to West Virginia. Goodbye. I'm blanking completely on their last coach's name for some reason.
Neil Brown.
Goodbye, Neil Brown. Hello, Rich Rodriguez for the second time. Rich Rod coming back for seconds. Brought West Virginia to new heights 15 plus years ago and is back to try and do it again. And it's not just old Neil that's gone. They lose their quarterback, Garrett Green. 2,300 yards passing, 750 yards rushing, 21 total touchdowns. He is now a wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think we said that here on this show, that he's going to be an NFL player, just definitely not as a quarterback.
No.
They also lose their 3 top receivers as well as their second rusher, and they lose 7 offensive linemen. They return backup quarterback who got some run last year, Nico Markiel, 430 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 starts last year, as well as 120 yards rushing. They also bring back star running back Jaheim White, 845 yards, 7 touchdowns. He is a preseason All-Big 12 player, but they only return total 38 catches for 419 yards in the receiver room and the tight end room. So that is a massive question mark. They add in 2 quarterbacks. Jalen Henderson was a 2-year player at Fresno State, was at Texas A&M in 2023. He went 2 years at Fresno State, then Texas A&M in 23. Injured in 2024. Cam Vaughn, 800 yards at Jackson State following Coach Rodriguez. Justin Smith-Brown, a receiver, 750 yards at South Carolina State. And Orrin Singleton, almost 650 yards at Eastern Michigan. And 11 offensive line transfers. The defense loses a ton. They do return 4 contributors on the D-line, as well as adding American Defensive Player of the Year, Jamara Robinson, as a defensive end. And then it's pretty much all transfers at linebacker and in the secondary. I think my first question is the QB spot. They've got a battle pretty similar to a place like UCF, Oklahoma State, where you've got a guy who has had some run at the school, but not a ton, and then a couple unproven transfers at the Power 5 level. What do you think happens at that spot?
I mean, I think it's Nico's job to lose. He played last year a little bit. We saw flashes from him in a couple different games. So I think it's Nico's job to lose in that scenario. I don't know. Jalen Henderson, Max Brown, I don't really know what they're capable of. I do know Nico's been there for a couple years. He had some playing time last season, so I think he ends up being their guy. But I will say this is going to be the first season where he is going to be the starter full-time. He's not sitting behind Garrett Green. He's not sharing time with Garrett Green or anything like that. So there's probably going to be some growing pains along with that. And then when you look at the offensive line, they're all new. The receivers, they return probably the least amount of production from anyone at that position in the conference. So a lot of question marks of what's going to be around him. The good news is that you do have a guy like Jaheim White to rely upon at running back. But again, with the offensive line and how it looks on paper, at least, I don't know how much they're going to be able to rely on that running game. So I do think there's going to be some pressure on Nico. I think there's just going to be growing pains with a first-year starting quarterback.
I wonder how elite Jaheim White will be this year. Because last year he was able to complement Garrett Green, who was one of the best running quarterbacks in the country. Just an absolute dog. I love Garrett Green. I'll miss him in the Big 12. But White himself is very, very dynamic. And that West Virginia team last year didn't have a great offensive line. I'm sure it'll probably be worse this year when you do bring in 11 newcomers. But I think White is the type of running back that can go win you a couple games. How many games? That's a different question. On defense, it looks like their D-line is going to be pretty dang good, which is a really good starting point for a new head coach and a new defensive coordinator to have at a program. Behind that, of course, is all question marks when you're bringing in a lot of transfers from all over the country.
Yeah, and we see this a lot. It reminds me a lot of like UCF, Oklahoma State, where you're just seeing so many new faces across the board. Not in Oklahoma State's case, but like for UCF, new coaching staff, guy that's been there with Scott Frost, but still just so many new players, and you don't know how it's going to work out until you see it on the field.
I think I separate West Virginia. Not that I expect them to be good or anything. I don't expect them to make a bowl game. I don't think it's fair to expect them to make a bowl game. But if I've got to play devil's advocate and say, all right, there's going to be a team like like Arizona State from last year. There's going to be a team that was picked to finish last, or a team that was picked to finish in the bottom 3, and they're going to rise up towards the top of the league. I think West Virginia would be my pick. And part of that comes from Jaheim White. I think Rich Rod has established plenty that he is a really, really good football coach. Maybe it didn't work out the way he wanted at Arizona. Had a few really good years at Jacksonville State. And also, I think the formula, not that you can predict it, because there's plenty of examples of it not working. The formula isn't necessarily coming in and bringing in 1 million transfers. But I think for a first-year coach, bringing in a lot of transfers from your old school, we have seen work, especially with Curt Cignetti. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if gun to my head, if I was forced to choose between Okie State, UCF, West Virginia, those are probably the 3 basement dwellers from the outside. Arizona, I'm going to choose West Virginia to jump up and surprise some people with 8 wins.
If I had to pick a school for that, I think it'd be Houston. I think Houston has.
Whoa! That's not fair. I think Houston is far out of that group.
Well, I mean, you look at last year, the standings, and they weren't that far off.
I know, but didn't a couple people have them in the top 10 of the Iowa Everywhere preseason poll?
No. Nobody had Houston in their top. There's no way.
I could have swore a couple people did. I had Houston. I had Houston in a group separate from those.
Well, if they're not in the top 10, they're kind of in the bottom tier group.
I think they're in the same tier as Cincinnati, as probably just them and Cincinnati. I think are in a tier of their own. We're definitely not considered good yet, but they're definitely not considered to be bottom of the barrel like those other 4 programs.
Let me say, I'm
Is
not
that fair?
I'm not counting on West Virginia to do much this season. I'll just say it. I'm not. I think getting to a bowl game for West Virginia this year 1 under Rich Rod, would be great. I don't see it happening. If they do, fantastic. But I think that's got to be the goal for this season, just getting back to a bowl game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not expecting it, but that's my official. If we come back in 4 months and have to look back and say, how in the hell did that team go from being picked 15th to being in contention, I'm going to hope that I can come back and play this clip and say, you know what? He didn't completely predict it, but he kind of hinted at predicting it. So that's my insurance.
That's fair.
All right. Aiden coming in with our 50th Iowa trivia question, I think. We've done it every week. I think we might have skipped it once.
Yeah.
50-ish. 50-ish.
For the 50, yeah, right. All right, Derek. New week, new town.
Oh, God. We're still with the towns.
Yep, spell it for the people at home.
Actually, I can't. Maybe I need glasses, Aiden. I don't know if I could see that. Is that Delhi?
There you go.
Okay. Might need glasses here pretty soon. I can't see that. It's so tiny. Let's see. There's just kind of around it. There's a pig company, which is a big shocker in the state of Iowa. Oh, gosh. I don't want to say Delhi. I'm going to say... No, you know what? I'm going to say Delhi. Is it Delhi?
It's Delhi.
Yeah, I didn't know this one, but
there you go.
Delhi is my guess.
It's Delhi.
I got it.
Hello,
Yes!
Delhi.
Bang!
I got it on 2 guesses. That's close enough.
I know where Makokata Valley is. I just assumed that was in Makokata. I guess I'm wrong.
I'm 1.5 for 2 the last 2 weeks. We'll say it like that.
All right, that's fair. And now we have our State Fair food draft presented by Whiskey River. And before we get into this food draft, I can tell you that Whiskey River food is up there with State Fair food. It might even be better. It's definitely a better atmosphere. I would so much rather go chill at Whiskey River, have a beer, watch the Cubbies, than go sit and sweat at the State Fair. And I guess there's benefits to both. The people watching at Whiskey River is not anywhere near the level of people watching at the State Fair. At Whiskey River, you're going to run into a pretty normal clientele, a really just a good atmosphere. The State Fair, unpredictable. So unpredictable. But again, thanks to Whiskey River for sponsoring Bigger Than 12 here on Iowa Everywhere and our Bigger Than 12 draft each week. Aiden, we got a little video to play because I had a real good time at Whiskey River.
Looking for a good time? Thought so. Whiskey River is just the place. We've got the booze, the food, the vibe, and the amazing rooftop patio. The only thing missing is you. Whiskey River.
Love me some Whiskey River. I might have to make that a weekly tradition. Maybe next time Aiden can join me. I was supposed to meet Aiden there for lunch, watch the Cubs last week.
And he chickened out.
Yeah, I drove past I drove past where he lives on the way there and had to be reminded that Aiden was not joining me for lunch. So
sorry.
I think we need to have a Bigger Than 12 meeting at Whiskey River when I come up.
All right, I'm in.
Might have to.
We'll do it in Ankeny and Ames. We'll go both. We'll do it both days.
Double dip, all right.
All right, so today it is State Fair foods. We're going to go 4 each. Aiden, flip us a coin.
Once again, we were going with Sally Ride. Derek, call it in the air.
Heads.
It is heads.
I think I'll just go first. Well,
All right, go ahead.
I think our lists are going to look completely different, and I'm just going to let the people know I've only been to one state fair in my entire life, and that was down here in Texas, and that was about 10 years ago. It's not something I seek out because it's in Dallas, which is about 5 hours away from me. So I don't know much about it. I'm not an expert at state fair food, but I just do know that everything's fried. However, I am not going with the fried food for the fair because, I mean, where I live, it's my number one is brisket. Anything with brisket. I mean, whether it's a sandwich, sliced brisket taco, whatever it may be, I'm going brisket with my number one pick. The one year I was there, I will say this: we had a chopped brisket into a ball. They deep fried the chopped brisket into like a little ball. They put a little barbecue sauce syringe in the ball, and you get to squeeze the barbecue sauce there in the little fried ball. That was incredible. I think that won an award that particular year. I don't remember what year that was, but I'm just going brisket. It doesn't have to be deep fried. You just eat it on its own. And I'm biased, but I don't think there's any better brisket than down here. Of course, I know that a lot of other places will say that they do brisket better. That's fair, but I'm going brisket. It had to be some kind of barbecue down here, so I'm going brisket with my number one pick.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and congratulate myself on the victory because I'm just going to sweep this one. I just know it. Again, I think I won last week by a wide margin. I'm taking pork chop on a stick, number one. This may be the most clear 1-1 that I've had in these drafts all summer long. It is far and away my favorite thing that I get when I go to the state fair. I typically only go once a year. The last couple of years have been different because I was there for work a few days. It doesn't matter. I get it every single time that I'm there. Sometimes I'll get 3. They're so good, and they come from the Iowa pork producers that there's nothing quite like Iowa pork. And then my next pick, I will go with just a corn dog.
Oh, that was a good one.
I love a corn dog any time of the year, but they just hit a little bit better at the state fair. It's boring. There's nothing flashy about it, but sometimes just like running the ball up the middle, getting 4 or 5 yards of carry, that's the best thing that you can possibly get. And I love just a battered corn dog.
I do remember when I was up in Dallas that they do Fletcher's corny dogs are very popular, and it was you have to get a corny dog and a beer in a wax cup to wash it down with. That was the move. But corn dog, classic fair food. Oh man, I get killed for this one, but I'm kind of sticking with my own theme here. I'm going fajitas. There's always so many vendors. Any fair I go to down here, everybody is cooking fajitas. It's always, I mean, you can get chicken, of course. There's nothing against chicken, but it's always beef fajitas on the grill. You get some onions, some peppers, homemade salsa on top. I do love a good fajita. I mean, I love tacos in general, of course, but fajita for me, that is like an iconic outside food for me. So I'm going to go fajitas with my second pick there.
I love fajitas, but brother, we are going to different state fairs. Let me just tell you that much.
Well, that's for sure. I don't think there's any question about that. Ah, man. So, I think I'm going to take my first dessert, and this for sure is just probably universal. I got to go fried Oreo. I think a fried Oreo is probably one of the best desserts out there. Now, there's a couple other things that I would probably put on this list for dessert-wise. I'm not like the biggest sweets fan when it comes to fried stuff, but I think a fried Oreo is just one of those classic fair foods that you have to get. You know, even if you just get like it once in the couple days that you're there, you have to try it at least one time in your life.
Decent pick. I like them. I never seek them out. If someone I'm with gets a boat of them, I'll have one, but
You got to have a bite of one.
yeah, I'm not a massive fried Oreo guy. I'll also go with the sweet. I'm going the bucket of cookies. If you know, you know. If you've been to the Iowa State Fair, you know that you have gotten the bucket of cookies. They are the absolute best cookies in the world. They melt in your mouth. You don't have to chew. They are so good. I've actually got a coupon for a free bucket of cookies when I go this year. I will definitely be taking advantage of that. And then I'll close out my draft. I think I'm closing out a perfect draft. Aiden might agree with cheese curds. The cheese curd stand that they have at the State Fair is so good. I would do it because I love them too. There's dill pickle cheese curds as well that are so good, but just the classic cheese curds, you cannot beat them. They're the perfect. Wow, I've had way too much food. Let me just add this light little appetizer that's not so light and walk around and demolish. They're a little bit flaky, but just the perfect amount of melt with some good Iowa ranch. So there you have it. I just had the perfect Iowa State Fair food draft. I can't speak for all state fairs.
I mean, that's fair. That's a pretty solid draft. I can't argue with that. I was a little surprised you didn't go corn, though. You did not pick corn.
I would so much rather go and get my sweet corn from a guy on the side of the road or from Channel and cook it at home and get 12 bushels for $6 than pay $12 for one thing of corn on the cob. But if someone's offering me a corn on the cob at the State Fair, I'm taking it.
I've got a couple left that I don't even think that would be on your list at all, but I'm going to go with, we just call it tornado potatoes. I mean, it's one of those spiral potatoes that they do. It's on a stick. Me and my wife, we love those. I mean, I like potatoes. Who doesn't like potatoes, right? Get a good little seasoning on there. That is one of my favorites, that fried potato. You just can pick it off. You can pull it off, bite it with your
Sounds
teeth,
good.
whatever. I love, that's like one of my go-tos at any fair, especially a state fair. So that would be my list. Did you have anything you left off? Because I have quite a few things.
Oh yeah, I've got some honorable mentions. I had this third on my list, but I just thought for my draft sake and getting kind of one of everything. I also had the bacon wrapped rib on a stick. You can get it at the one of the beer tents. I won't specify which name brand beer tent that is at the State Fair. But the bacon wrap rib on a stick, I love it. It's just not as good as the pork chop on a stick. I've also got the lobster roll. It's more of a novelty thing, though. It's really good, just really, really expensive, and I definitely don't get it every time I go there. The Wonder Bars, just ice cream bars dipped in chocolate and some candy. Those are delicious. And I also had the bacon cheeseburger egg roll from my hometown. Winner of the new State Fair food last year. So good. So good.
Yeah, I had egg rolls. Egg rolls are one of mine. You can always find different variations of egg rolls. I've seen cheeseburger, Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, all those kinds. I also put fried PB&J on there. I think that's probably one of the underrated desserts.
I forgot about that.
That, to me, between that one and the Oreo one, were kind of 1-2 there for my dessert. Sausage wrap, I don't know if that's a big thing, but just a giant piece of sausage wrapped in a tortilla. Always one of mine. Bacon wrapped hot dogs. I see those a lot of times. Any kind of hot dog. Then nachos. I think nachos you can find pretty much everywhere. Different variations of nachos. I think that's always a classic fair food as well. But yeah, I mean,
see what I look for in a fair food. What can I eat while walking?
You can eat nachos while walking.
Not if they're good though.
Not necessarily walking when I'm eating, unless I have one of those foods that are on a stick necessarily.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Aiden, which draft do you prefer?
Yeah, Jake, definitely. The bucket of cookies is.
I think we just have very different tastes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, we're like we split off right away. I knew this draft was going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Mine probably just looks like plain old food you can get anywhere, and I'm sure you probably could. But
the next time I see you, I will probably be fresh off of recovering from the State Fair. I think I'm going this weekend, so I'll be, when we record next week, I'll have a couple days to recover from the overeating and the beer too at the craft beer tent. So we'll have to recap that trip a little bit. And next week we're going to do our massive Big 12 preview. We are all done with season outlooks. If you haven't caught every single episode and want to go back and listen to what we had to say about BYU or Baylor, like go back and listen, and feel like we did a pretty good job of just going up and down the roster and catching up to speed. And next week we're going to put it all together. We're going to predict our standings, maybe some conference award winners. It's going to be a fun show. We are here, and I cannot wait to be officially in Big 12 football season.
We're getting closer. It's that time of the month. You're packing your bags in what, like 2 weeks? You're leaving in 2 weeks.
I'm leaving in 2 weeks. I might start packing now.
Aiden's
to get in the mindset. Aiden's going to Vegas.
In a couple weeks, I guess I'm the only one not going.
Enjoy Texas.
Yeah.
Enjoy 105-degree weather while Aiden's at the casino and I'm in Dublin.
Aiden's probably going to be in Vegas, so it's probably going to be 100 there too, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to get him off that damn horse racing machine, though, to watch the game.
Sigma Derby for life. Okay.
Let's get out of here. Thanks for supporting Bigger Than 12 here on Iowa Everywhere. Thanks to WealthCharter Retirement Planning on Tax. Thanks to Freedom Tire. We've been in the Channel Seed Studios. This has been Bigger Than 12.